Morning to you, Jonathan.
Good morning.
Okay, you're thrust into the limelight as a 17-year-old on...
Back in 2012, a shy 17-year-old boy named Jonathan Antoine stepped onto the stage of Britain's Got Talent, and in just a few minutes, everything changed. He wasn't alone. Standing beside him was his classmate Charlotte Jaconelli. They were introduced as a classical singing duo, and honestly, no one really knew what to expect. When Jonathan walked out, his nerves were clear. You could tell he didn't feel comfortable being in front of such a huge crowd. But the moment he opened his mouth and started singing, the entire room went silent. Jonathan's voice was something else. Deep, powerful, and full of emotion. It was hard to believe that sound was coming from a teenager. Even Simon Cowell, who isn't known for giving easy compliments, was stunned. He later compared Jonathan to a young Pavarotti, which is a huge thing to say. The judges were blown away, and so were the millions of people watching at home. That audition went viral almost instantly, and people from all around the world started talking about this incredible young singer. As the show went on, Jonathan and Charlotte kept impressing both the judges and the audience. In the final round, they sang The Prayer, and it was one of their best performances. Everyone thought they had a real shot at winning. But in a surprising twist, they came in second place. The winners were Ashley and Pudsey, a girl and her dancing dog. While Jonathan and Charlotte didn't win the trophy, they definitely won over the hearts of millions. Not long after the show ended, big opportunities came their way. Simon Cowell offered them a record deal said to be worth around £1 million. That same year, they released their first album together, called Together. It did really well and reached number 5 on the UK album charts. It was clear, they were no longer just talent show contestants. They were real artists, ready to start their careers. Jonathan went from being a quiet teenager who struggled with confidence, to standing on stages and getting standing ovations. That first appearance on Britain's Got Talent was more than just a performance. It was the start of a life-changing journey, one that no one, not even Jonathan, could have predicted. After their success on Britain's Got Talent, Jonathan and Charlotte seemed like a team that would be around for a long time. Their fans loved them, and their voices worked beautifully together. Their first album did really well, and they followed it up with a second one called Perhaps Love in 2013. It had a mix of classical songs and more modern tracks, and people really connected with it. The duo was getting invited to perform on big stages, and things looked like they were only going up from there. But behind the scenes, things were starting to change. By early 2014, news broke that Jonathan and Charlotte had decided to go their separate ways. They weren't fighting or anything like that, it was more about personal growth. Both of them had been offered solo record deals, and they agreed that it was time to try things on their own. It was a big decision, especially since they had come so far together. But sometimes, growth means stepping out on your own, and that's exactly what Jonathan decided to do. For Jonathan, this was a huge turning point. For years, he had struggled with self-doubt, with people judging him for his appearance, and feeling like he didn't quite fit in. But now, with a solo contract in hand and more experience under his belt, he felt ready. He wanted to explore his own voice, his own style, and truly show the world what he was capable of, not just as part of a duo, but as Jonathan Antoine, the solo artist. Interestingly, even Simon Cowell had hinted in interviews that he saw Jonathan as someone who could go very far on his own. It wasn't just about talent anymore, it was about belief. And finally, Jonathan believed in himself enough to take that step. Of course, fans were a little sad to see him and Charlotte part ways, but most people understood that it was the right move. This decision didn't mean their friendship ended. They've spoken kindly about each other ever since. But from this point forward, Jonathan was focused on carving out his own path in the music world. And as we'll see next, he wasted no time getting started. Not long after going solo, Jonathan got to work on his very first solo album. In 2014, he released Tenore, and it was a big moment for him. This album wasn't just about showing off his vocal range, it was about finding his own identity as a performer. The songs included classic opera pieces, along with more modern songs that showed how versatile his voice really was. The album was well received, and fans loved hearing Jonathan step into the spotlight all on his own. By now, people could see that Jonathan wasn't just a one-time talent show star. He was serious about music and had the kind of voice that doesn't come around often. In 2016, he released his second solo album called Believe. This one included powerful songs like Puccini's E Luce van la Stelle, but also a beautiful version of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. It was clear Jonathan wanted to mix traditional opera with more familiar tunes, making classical music feel more approachable for everyone. In 2020, Jonathan came out with his third solo album, Going the Distance. This project was a big one. It even included a concert film that was recorded in Toronto with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. Watching him perform with such a prestigious group really showed how far he had come since that nervous audition years earlier. He wasn't just keeping up, he was leading the show, owning the stage, and singing like someone who truly belonged there. Up to now, Jonathan has released 7 albums in total, and 5 of them have gone straight to #1 on the UK classical chart. That's not an easy thing to do, especially in a world where classical music doesn't always get a lot of attention. But Jonathan's fans have stuck with him every step of the way, and new listeners are discovering his music all the time. What's really interesting is how Jonathan has managed to stay true to his style while still growing as an artist. He's never tried to chase trends or be someone he's not. Instead, he's focused on making music that means something to him, and that's probably why people connect with him so deeply. His voice might be the first thing that gets your attention, but it's his honesty and passion that make you stay. Even though Jonathan's music career was going strong, life behind the scenes wasn't always easy. Fame came quickly for him, and with it came a lot of pressure. He's been very open about struggling with his mental health, especially when it came to things like anxiety and depression. From a young age, Jonathan had dealt with bullying because of his weight and appearance, and even as his career grew, those old wounds didn't disappear right away. In interviews, Jonathan has talked about going through some really dark moments. He said that after Britain's Got Talent, there were times he felt overwhelmed by everything. People expected him to always be perfect, to always sound amazing, and that pressure started to weigh him down. But instead of letting it break him, Jonathan decided to do something about it. He started focusing more on his mental health, opening up about therapy, and making small changes in his daily life that helped him feel better. One of the biggest changes in recent years has been his health journey. In 2024, Jonathan revealed that he had lost around 4 stone, that's over 50 pounds, by changing his eating habits and walking more. He shared that he started using Weight Watchers and began walking 10,000 steps a day. For him, it wasn't about fitting into a certain image, it was about feeling good and being able to perform at his best. He said the biggest reward wasn't the number on the scale, but how much energy he gained and how much more confident he felt. Another major moment came in 2022, when Jonathan was officially diagnosed with autism. He was in his late 20s at the time, and he said the diagnosis helped everything make sense. For years, he had felt like he saw the world a little differently, and now he had words to explain that. It brought him peace, and he said it helped him understand himself in a much deeper way. Instead of feeling limited by the label, Jonathan has embraced it as part of who he is. Through all of this, Jonathan has become more than just a singer, he's become an inspiration. He's shown that it's okay to be open about your struggles, that growth takes time, and that there's real strength in being honest about who you are. Whether he's talking about mental health, autism, or just the ups and downs of life, Jonathan speaks from the heart. And that's something fans truly respect. Even though Jonathan isn't constantly in the headlines, he's been quietly staying busy with all kinds of creative projects. He's active on social media, where he shares updates with his fans and gives them a peek into his life and work. He's not one to post every day just for attention, but when he does share something, it's usually thoughtful and genuine. Whether it's a song clip, a concert moment, or even a simple walk update, his fans love hearing from him. Over the past few years, Jonathan has also explored some exciting new directions. In 2024, he released a children's book called Jonathan and the Magical Cape, which surprised a lot of people, but in a good way. The book was all about believing in yourself and embracing your uniqueness, themes that clearly reflect Jonathan's own journey. He said he wanted to create something that could inspire kids the way music inspired him, and fans really appreciated that softer, imaginative side of him. He's also been back in the studio working on music, both in the UK and in the US. At the end of 2024, he did a live stream concert that featured some well-known names in the music industry, including songwriter Diane Warren. It was a big deal, showing that Jonathan continues to grow and collaborate with respected artists. These live streams have become a great way for him to connect with fans all over the world without needing to travel constantly. And speaking of his fans, they've stayed incredibly loyal. On platforms like Instagram and X, formerly Twitter, people are always posting about how his music helps them through tough times or brings them peace. Videos of him singing everything from opera to Disney songs keep going viral. One video that really stood out was his cover of Can You Feel the Love Tonight, which he sang by the Sydney Harbor. It was emotional, simple, and powerful, classic Jonathan. Through it all, Jonathan hasn't changed who he is. He's still the same grounded person who stepped onto the Britain's Got Talent stage over a decade ago, just with a little more confidence and a lot more experience. He's not chasing trends or trying to go viral. He's just doing what he loves, and his fans are following right along with him. So what's next for Jonathan Antoine? Well, from the looks of it, he's not slowing down anytime soon. He's currently working on new music, including a special project called By Request, Diane Warren Songbook Volume 1, which will feature songs written by the legendary songwriter herself. For someone like Jonathan, who loves pouring emotion into every note, this kind of project is a perfect fit. Fans are really excited to hear what he'll bring to those powerful ballads. Along with new music, Jonathan is also focusing more on his health and overall well-being. He's kept up his daily walking routine, and he's been open about how important it is to take care of both the mind and the body. He's not doing it for anyone else, not for fame or looks, but for himself. And that honesty is what makes him so relatable. He's shown that success isn't just about what you do on stage, it's about who you are off it too. He's also become more vocal about things like mental health and living with autism. Instead of hiding those parts of his life, he's chosen to talk about them, to help others who might be going through something similar. That kind of openness has made him even more respected by his fans. He's not afraid to show the hard moments, and that makes the beautiful ones feel even more real. Jonathan's journey proves that you don't have to fit into a certain box to succeed. He didn't look like your typical pop star when he first showed up on TV, and he didn't try to change who he was just to make people happy. Instead, he leaned into what made him different: his voice, his heart, and his honesty. And over the years, that's turned him into not just a great singer, but a truly inspiring person. As of now, Jonathan continues to sing, to create, and to connect with people all around the world. He may have started as a teenager on a talent show, but he's built something much bigger than that. And if the past few years are any clue, the best of Jonathan Antoine might still be ahead. So if you've ever been touched by his voice or his story, now's the time to keep listening, because this journey is far from over.